Good evening, good evening, good evening. Wait here for a couple of seconds. Ray's going to be coming back in here. And for those of you that know and try to follow my little things that I put on the desk every week, I've moved to a different spot, trying to get things situated a little bit better for me. And it's not, I got to do a little bit of changing, rearranging, all that kind of fun stuff. So stuff that I had that's supposed to be in view isn't in view. There's this little thing here, and then I had my spiny oyster from one of my spinies from when I was a diver, all that kind of fun stuff, but it's not fitting in. So anyhow, Ray's on his way back. We're going to talk about, basically tonight, we're going to be talking a little bit about how to keep your customers coming back. What can you do to get them to remember you? Because there's nothing worse to me than when I would go up to a customer and they would say, hey, yeah, I'm looking to get my house washed, and I had it washed last year, but I don't remember who did it, and it was me. That was a devastating thing. So we're going to talk about some ways to help you avoid that, get past that, never have it happen again. Hey, Rusty, how are you tonight?
Hey, sorry, Doug.
That's all right. Come on back whenever you're ready.
I wanted to make sure that I hit save on that that thing I was telling you about over there. So
Gotcha.
it is now published.
A couple things I want to make sure I mention that don't forget about the huge convention. We'll talk about that coming up here again. On August 18th. August 18th is the 3 classes that we'll have for the Spray Wash Academy. We'll start off with the basics class. So if you're brand new to the industry and you're looking to learn about soft washing and roof cleaning, that's going to be a great class for you. And it's going to start at 8 o'clock in the morning on the 18th at the huge convention. Then we'll roll into our plant and property class. That will be starting at noon, runs till about 4 o'clock. And then after that will be our class for pro members only, which will have Jason Ayers in there with us helping teach that. And it'll be about rig building and be kind of a happy hour at the same time. Don't forget also, you've got Eric and Lisa Seats are having a open, not an open house. What are they having? They're having a demo deal. Their first annual, they're calling it their first annual, which means they're going to do it every year, where you could go and you could demo equipment in Pennsylvania at the Power Wash store. To me, I think that's freaking awesome. That's happening here in just, 5 days? I think they got it on the 26th. So if you're anywhere near the Pennsylvania area, that'd be a good thing to run up to. Then we'll have the PW&A event is in New Orleans. And then you'll also have the Power Wash store corporate event that happens down in Orlando, January. I think that's gonna be January. Huh?
That's January, and I don't know if it's fair game yet or not. I don't know if I can announce who the
he put it out.
The keynote speaker is.
Yeah.
Is that public yet or not?
Yeah, it's public. Yeah.
Okay.
He put it out.
It's amazing. But Paul actually has, from the Power Wash store corporate office, has the guy who wrote Profit First. I cannot pronounce his Matt Mashkel. I'll butcher his last name. But the dude that wrote Profit First is the keynote speaker there. That's pretty freaking cool.
That's pretty freaking cool. That's it. Anyhow, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about how to keep your customers coming back, because again, that's one of them things that you always seem to have trouble with. And in with that, we're going to cover some things about, how to start a newsletter, things that you would put into your newsletter, how to reward your customers to keep them coming back to you, maybe things about sending them gifts, what types of gifts, how can you give gifts and not come off too cheesy or wrong, or those kinds of things. Maybe starting up a referral program for them to get them to give referrals and make them drive traffic to you, and getting your like count up on Facebook, those kinds of things, by doing like a like to do something free giveaway, those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Spotlighting employees, all these kinds of things that kind of fall into play with that. So Ray, you got something coming up on your screen. What you got there?
Where?
Were you trying to get rid of it?
Where?
Okay, you don't want that there? It's not showing, so.
Showing what?
It's not.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, I'm going to remove it. I see it on my end. You don't see it on your end? I see it.
I don't see it on my end.
That's it. It's in the back office side of it. So nobody else sees it, but I see your screen.
Oh,
I'm gonna hit the remove button. So there, now it's removed.
Yeah, it's not part of the thing there. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, we were.
Oddly enough, now that I've done that, okay, so I'm going to turn it back on.
Okay.
No. We'll go ahead and talk.
I probably have to turn it back on. Yeah. See.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay, now we're good to go, because now what was happening is it was feeding off of one screen and not the other. So when you were talking, you're talking, but your lips aren't moving.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was. Anyhow. All right. No, that's why I thought you had something that you were pulling up there. So
yeah. Oh no, I was just sharing this thing out to a couple of spots. So yeah, just sharing our little gig out there for, you know,
sharing it out,
sharing fun of it. But yeah, you know, keeping customers, the most expensive, you know, customer is the one that you get one time and one time only. And that's just one of those things that you're bigger than me again tonight, and it's really pissing me off. There we go. Now I'm equal. I'm on equal size with you. Okay. Now we'll see if my monitor starts sliding down
here. Maybe.
But you know, it's horrible to get a customer one time, and that's what a lot of the value guys don't understand, is that whenever you pay to get these customers, and all customers do have a cost associated with them through, you know, there is a
customer acquisition.
You know, that's the buzzword now. The customer acquisition cost. Your customers cost money to get. I mean, you know, just face it. It's either going to be through advertising, through gas, through you knocking on the door, but it's going to cost something
every time.
It's why it's so important to have a you know, something like the House Call Pro or the other ones, the jobbers, but the customer retention, the CRTs, the customer retention or CRM, customer retention modules or managers, so that you can keep these people, you know, and then email them out. If you're not going that route, you can do it honestly with Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel and MailChimp. You know, if you want to do it on the cheap, but just never forget how valuable these customers are. And I've literally got customers who've been with me for all 12 years, since I, you know,
since the beginning,
opened, built, scaled, and sold spray wash. I've got customers who I have done their properties annually, if not more than annually with them.
Yeah, we've got customers that we do twice a year, 3 times a year, that kind of a thing. But one thing to remember when you're doing the emails and the email lists and all that, using a service like MailChimp or what's the other one, Constant Contact, really good idea. And because you want to make sure that you're not going past the Spam Act or the Can Spam Act, you want to make sure that they're opting in or double opting in or that sort of thing, to make sure that you're not spamming them. And then the next thing you know, your emails aren't even going out anymore, and you're trying to send emails out by you know, you're trying to send a proposal, and even the proposal isn't going out.
Right. Yeah, it's not going through. Yeah. We actually had a little problem with that for a while with House Call Pro, because it was assuming that our, you know, estimates were spam. So we got that taken care of.
Be careful with that.
And that's another reason to follow up with your people whenever you're using them. And that's something that, you know, Tanya and Marty do all the time in there. I mean, it's daily calls to, hi, this is, you know, Marty from Spray Wash, and just, you know, follow up to make sure you got your estimate. Oh, you didn't? Well, you might want to check your spam folder. It's showing here that it's sent, you know, because my House Call Pro literally sits there and says, yes, it was, you know, it was entered in on this day. The costs were entered in on this day, and it was emailed to you on this day at this time. So you can tell them that. So,
and some of those programs will actually tell you that it has been opened.
Oh no, ours House Call Pro will tell you not only that it has been opened, it'll tell you how many times it's been opened.
And that's a really good way of doing it, because then especially because we know customers, like employees, never lie to us, right?
Mhm.
Never. And so by saying, did you receive it? You still want to make that follow-up, right?
Yep.
And then they can say, oh, no, Ray, I never received that yet. Oh, did you send it?
Mhm.
But you already know that they
saw it,
and that they opened it and all that sort of thing. So it can kind of give you some guidance as to where they're at in their decision-making process or their purchasing process or things of that nature. So,
and it's one of those things too that you can always go and do you can do a sale, you can do a coupon if you want to. You can, if you've got somebody that's been on the fence and they they've opened it, but their house is still dirty because you drive by their house and you're like, oh, I gave a quote on that house and they never did that. I mean, you can always just kind of go and, hey, June special, $50 off any driveway, and you can email that to customers and let them know, and that might be enough to get them off the fence and actually go do something.
And you can target just that one specific customer. If you drive by, look, it is not always about price, which we complain about all the time. Oh, I gave this bid and they must have gone to a lower guy. I can tell you a lot of times it hasn't gone to anybody.
Yeah.
They just haven't acted for whatever reason. You may have been the only bid. They may have gotten 10 bids and they still haven't acted at all. Yeah. And we'll get, 2 and even 3 years later, is this estimate still good?
Still good. Absolutely. People get butt hurt and they're like, oh, they must have gone with the low ball or something. Mm-hmm. First off, a lot of guys in this business don't ever bother to follow up like they should. Let's just face it, they don't. I talk to guys all the time. Well, what did the customer say? Well, I don't know. I never talked to them. Oh, they wouldn't. Yeah, I sent them the estimate. And what? You didn't follow up?
Well, no, I figure if they want that job.
Yeah, if they wanted it, I'm not going to chase business. You should. I'll run a 100-meter dash after it, and I'll be winded for a while, but I'll damn sure run it.
Definitely chasing after it.
But it's okay to chase the business. It's actually a really good idea. I think most of the successful business people out there do chase their business.
They have systems in place to make sure that they're always there. A lot of these programs that are out there now, you can chase the business without ever talking to them.
It's true.
You set it up to auto email them. So it emails them at day 3, it emails them at day 7, it emails them at day 9, whatever.
Right.
You set it up and you set the email that you want.
You can set up a whole, responsive bid is one of those that basically annoys the shit out of them till they click, buy.
You can set it up where they get it. They get an email a year later.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's part of the key. But, getting back to what we're talking about, people don't act on stuff. People forget that life happens. Just like today, I had such a Monday and, I've got this office park that we're working on. And I've got 2 guys in town from Jacksonville over there handling that job for me. And literally they had 3 instances where I had to bring them material out there to that side of town, and it's out there by the airport. That's not a quick run, from my office. And that sucked a solid 4 hours of my Monday up on doing that. Like I said, life happened. God forbid the person that tried to get a hold of me today because I wasn't around my office at all.
And you should definitely have somebody answering your phone. I can tell you, in a lot of instances nowadays too, if you don't answer the phone, they're just going to hang up. They're going to call somebody else. They're not necessarily leaving a message. There are plenty of options out there. You're not the only one. So they'll pick up the phone. They'll call somebody else, even if they've been a customer of yours for 2 and 3 years. They'll still pick up the phone and call.
One of the things that so many people, let's face it, and I don't mean to talk bad about our industry, but we're doing a good job of changing it. But so many buyers have the illusion of, I'm calling up some dude in a single wide mobile home with a pit bull on his front chain, on a chain in his front yard, whenever I am calling up somebody, about the pressure washing.
Mhm.
I mean, we've not necessarily.
That's the view of us. Yeah.
It really is. And I can't tell you how many times, we wind up getting customers just from that initial thing that, hey, we're not the kind of guys that just come, we're not the bleach bandits. We're not going to be the guys that come out here and just douse your property with straight
Flash and dash.
blast your paint off.
Mhm.
And the people will tell, the gals in the office are like, oh my God, I can't believe that you've taught me more about washing than I've ever thought I would know. And I didn't realize this was like a real professional type company or even a real niche market. So a lot of the people that are out there, they don't understand, what we are and what we're about. And that's our job to educate them.
And that's probably the biggest job we have. I know when I first started my company, people would be like, soft what? Huh? They never heard of soft washing. It's something that I had to build. I had to build the brand around me and educate people about soft washing. And it's becoming more and more prevalent every single day. And that's why we see new washers coming in and that sort of thing too. But, and nowadays people are actually requesting soft washing versus the pressure washing thing, which means that it has finally started to hit the mainstream, right? But you still have to be able to push those buttons and get things headed in the right direction. And remember that just because you sent out an estimate, number one, doesn't mean that they received it. And number two, doesn't mean that they've, just because you haven't heard back from them, doesn't mean that they've, decided to go someplace else.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Don't get butthurt because somebody hasn't accepted your estimate, and God forbid, don't assume that they've gone somewhere else, and don't assume they get it for a lower price. And the main thing is, how can you assume anything if you're not following up? And you should absolutely be fine. And I'll admit, we get bad about following up. I mean, we stay booked out 2 months at a time, and that's something our new company is actually very adamant against. So we don't want you booked out for 2 months at a time.
Mm-hmm.
We want to increase your personnel, increase your trucks, and and have you booked out for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. But we could certainly do a better job of following up with our customers, our residential at least, and say, hey, haven't heard back. Saw you haven't seen your estimate, or I didn't know if you had this job done or not. Did we get it? No, we want somebody else. Could I ask, what was the reason you went with someone else? I mean,
absolutely.
People will be bluntly honest with you,
You'd be surprised how some people can be bluntly honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
That brings up the other side of it, where when you sit there and you say, I get a lot of guys. We talk to people all the time. We're always saying, we're booked 2 months out, 3 months out, 6, 8, 10 weeks out, whatever the case may be. And look at it this way. I consider myself to be successful. I consider Ray to be successful. But what have we done wrong? Okay. We are 2 months out a lot of times. Okay. The company that bought Ray's company, right? That's a big company, and they don't want that. They know that's a bad thing to be booked that far out. That means you need more people. I think, you need more people, you need more trucks, you need, and then go ahead and advertise. Even though your advertising budget goes up, well, guess what? Your sales calls are going up, your sales are going up, you're making more money off of it. Doing that. Obviously they're doing something right.
Yeah. And what happens is, you don't want to ever be you want your sales to be just constantly going up. What you don't want is this, and this is what happens to so many, guys in the business, is peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys.
Feast and famine.
And what happens is, you get busy, whether it be seasonal or you just really out there jamming away at it. And, so then it's all of a sudden you stop calling people, you stop doing the prospecting, you stop getting back to people, you stop following up. And then what happens while you're out there doing that work, your sales drop off. Mm-hmm. And now you've kind of got to start, you've got to regain traction. And, the old Newton's laws of physics was, an object in motion tends to stay in motion. And that's why if you make it every Tuesday morning, I follow up on bids, you know, before the trucks go out.
You have an office person do it.
You know, but you make yourself a schedule and you keep doing it, and it's really going to help you to continue on to get the stuff done.
Ray, would you say that most of your clients, the decision makers, are male or female?
Female.
Female.
Well, residentially, they're female.
Residentially, they're female, right? Mm-hmm. See, and that's the same thing. So for us, same thing. Residential is female. Commercial is typically more on the male side. And my point to that is this. How do you bake really good chocolate chip cookies, Ray? Ray has no idea where I'm going with this, by the way.
No, I don't.
You don't have a clue. I don't really have a clue. So
you've seen this guy. You know what I think about chocolate chip cookies. So yeah.
They're good. They taste good. My point in the chocolate chip cookies comment here is really boils down to this. If you're on the residential side especially, okay, doing a newsletter, and I've had some questions about, well, how do you do a newsletter, okay? A newsletter doesn't have to be about washing, and I'm going to argue that it shouldn't be about just washing, right? And if the vast majority of your residential clients are going to be females, you can have articles in there about baking cookies, okay? How do you bake this particular cookie, right? It's going to make them want to read it because they don't want to read about how to get mildew off the side of their house. They don't care about that.
A home improvement newsletter. I mean, something like that, you know?
You can team up with a local guy that does AC and heating repair, or a local handyman, you know, a good good quality company, because what you don't want to do is team up with, you know, the guy with the flip-flops and, you know, 4 teeth missing and skinnier than a rail and shows up doing this, and, you know, he's all tweaking out and all that. You don't want that kind of thing, right? No. So you want to team up with other companies that can write articles for you. You can write articles for them. Whether it's about fishing, that way you get the guys involved. If it's about local football teams or whatever, so that you can get those corporate guys involved, right? Whether it's about removing dryer lint and the dangers of dryer lint, you know, all these different things that are services you can provide. You can do things about cleaning out rain gutters. You can do the different things about your company. You can spotlight your employees, right? You can, there's so many different things, charity events that you go to and do, put those in there, spotlight those. Put some before and after pictures in.
Hell, you can sell advertising if you really want to be this way. You could sell advertising in your newsletter. You know, you need articles for your newsletter. Talk to your realtor. Talk to your key realtors that are, you know, and you should have 5 or 6 key realtors that are awesome and send you business. But talk to them and talk to them about staging a home, and talk to them about, why do you love a model home? Whenever you go into a model home, why do you fall in love with a model home and like it better than your home? Well, one of the answers is clutter, you know? So talk to them about decluttering their house. I mean, just small, we don't have to write War and Peace. These can be, you know, 4 to 8 paragraph art magazine articles, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, you can throw in things in there about, you know, how do you prepare for an exterior cleaning? You know, what should you expect from an exterior cleaning? You can do things that are targeted, even if they didn't choose you. So if they're signed up for your newsletter and they didn't choose you for their cleaning, and you write an article in there that says, you know, during your cleaning, one of the aspects should be, if there's no rain gutters, you know, the plant should be covered or draped or whatever, however you want to write up your article. And then they're like, yeah, you know, I hired that Ray Burt guy and he burnt all my plants because he didn't cover them. You know, now they have something to go with and talk about, you know, so you do want to bring in those things, but you can also use the other side of it to build a relationship with them, number one. And number two, give them something that they are give
them something of value. You know, I mean, Henry Big Ben is asking me how much to send a newsletter out to my customer list. I mean, it was the cost. Whenever we used to do that, it was literally the cost of of Constant Contact. It was at $29 a month or something, because I'd write it myself and I'd have my realtors write an article in there for it. I'd have, the electricians write something. So, yeah.
That's what I'm saying about using the others in your industry or outside of your industry to write articles. And, if you're using Constant Contact, I was saying it's $0 to send out a newsletter, but
so Nathan is sitting there saying, good idea to send your current customers the newsletters once a month. Absolutely. Send it to them, not just the people that have signed up, but all of your old customers, everybody you've done business with, that you have their, and maybe once a month. I could see quarterly, so 4 times a year.
I think on something like this, you're probably going to get more people drop off if you do it monthly. They're not going to read it. So maybe I would say more of a quarterly thing. But you could even, I don't know this for fact, but I'm betting there's a way that you can do some newsletters. You can ask them, would you rather receive it monthly or quarterly? Kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, Constant Contact is ridiculous how complex that thing is if you want it to be. Rich, Marie, if I have their email address, I'm sending the stuff out automatically to them. I really am. I mean, I'm just, if I've done
but you're sending it out via like Constant Contact or
right, where they can
click on the opt out thing.
Right, exactly. But I mean, if they're in my database, then and then that's something else nice about MailChimp and Constant Contact is they track that for you, so you're not going and breaking the law by sending them again, because it'll automatically snatch them out of the list next time you send it to them.
And the thing about this is just that, again, we're not giving you legal advice or that kind of thing, right? Okay, we just throw that out there. But a part of the thing is somebody has to ask to receive something from you. Okay, they're calling you up and they're asking you for an estimate. They're freely giving you their email address, right? So that to me is my permission to send them something. And then as long as I'm doing it through Constant Contact or some way that they can opt out, right, then they can just opt out right there, and then it's done and over with, kind of a thing.
So what are you going to
do? It's meaning that they want to receive your stuff.
Are you going to call the email police on me?
I'm going to call the Facebook police on you. How many times have you been in Facebook jail?
Only about twice.
I think I've only been in there once.
It was for, I think I did a live on this at some point. One point, whenever I got back on, I still mean this in all sincerity, but go police up your old timeline. One time y'all kicked me out of my own group because I cussed. Still remember that. You remember that, don't you? Yeah.
I remember that. But that wasn't kicked off of Facebook. That was just kicked off.
I was kicked out of my own group. Yeah, because I cussed at somebody. But
that's funny.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was amazing. But the 2 times I've been in true Facebook jail have been for really old memes. I mean, like 2016 memes that I had totally forgotten about. And in groups that I wasn't even member of anymore, like old meme groups that I had said, okay, this is too tasteless even for me. And I got out of the groups, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, we found that, we're suspending you for violating community standards. I'm like, really?
What did I do?
It's 6 years old. Come on.
I got booted out once for being Dougie Doo. I had to prove that I was actually Dougie Doo in order to stay on. So I had to show them an invoice that I had received from Power Wash Store that said Dougie Doo. I had my nieces and nephew do a video that said Uncle Dougie Doo, all that kind of stuff. I mean, at the time, I didn't even care. I'm like, you kicked me out. I don't care. But,
it was pretty bad, Rich. It was a pretty awful group.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that group's in existence anymore. So
I have no idea.
But,
so another thing is,
if my humor, never mind. I'll stop it right now.
You don't want to say it? Yeah. All right. So the point of this is to keep your customers coming back. Have them continue to call you. You have to stay engaged with them. So one of the things that we always talk about is pictures, right? Send before and after pictures when you're done with a job site, and have them watermarked with your phone number on them, because that's going to be another way. If they can't remember, they're going to go back and look at the pictures. Okay. Then they're going to be able to have your number and to call you. So you have to be able to keep up with them all the time. So starting the newsletter, again, that's one of the ways to do that. Doing the before and after pictures. Reward your customers. So one of the ways that you can reward your customers, you can do this in a couple different ways. You can team up with other businesses, which is something that I think is a really good way of doing it. You can also do, if you're part of a barter group or a trade group. If you're not, I mean, you might consider joining one, or a BNI group. Join that BNI group. What does that really have to do with keeping connected with customers? Well, you can work with another company. Let's say that it is an AC and heating company, and they want, they're looking for customers as well. So they're saying, hey, we'll do a free courtesy inspection of their system, right? So you can say, like, let's say as an example, I'm gonna go down a different road, because this is something I've done. I was a member of a local barter group, and in there, they have a masseuse, right? So I had this one lady that, man, referral after referral, man, because we always ask, by the way, are you asking, how did you hear about us? If not, shame on you. So how did you hear about us? And they kept mentioning this one gal. And so, number one, I did her annual roof retreat for free. I sent her, she must have gone out and got 3 different massages that we paid for. And we paid for it with the trade account.
Very, very nice. I like it.
And we do that for commercial clients, for residential clients. Send them cookies. Like Jacob's going to have a conniption, but if I keep talking about cookies, he's going to go into convulsions, but do something like spotlighting your employees. Showcase the employees and what they do, and not just that they're good employees kind of thing. Spotlight what they do in their spare time, and who they are, and as a person. Even you can even talk about the trials and tribulations that they've had in their lives and that kind of thing. Don't get too far off on that, I don't think. But if you have anything coming up, or talk about a hot dog thing that you're going to do at your shop, if you want to promote people to come in and meet your crews, or whatever, those kinds of things. So just engaging with your customers. And then if it's on the commercial side, Ray, what do you think is your best giveaway item?
My best giveaway item? I like the mouse pads. Yeah, I love the mouse pads. But they were really kind of targeted to, our commercial managers out there. But then again, I don't know, the leather coasters are good too. I mean, every one of our managers has got the leather coaster on their desk as well. So I want to go on to one here. Alan asked about what about blogs and how to run them. Absolute must have, I believe. And there's enough free blogs out there that I don't necessarily think you need to even pay for a blog. I mean, it's I don't even know if my website is up. I assume it is.
If you're not using YouTube as well, I mean, that is another good way to engage. Blogs, vlogs, all of them are great ways to keep engaging with your customers.
So, like, here's an idea of a blog. I'm going to share the screen here real quick, Doug. Share our screen. So on my website right here, if I go into here and I go into our blog. So here's the blog, and I haven't updated it for a while. April 5th. I mean, I kind of, well, you know what, I sold my company. Don't need to. So and here's a thing on high dusting, and we actually, we go in there and we talk about high dusting on there. So and I'm using Blogger. It's part of the Google apps, just Blogger, Blogger. You can have it then put on your website. So here's one. Is it pollen season? Yeah, it's pollen season. So I see me writing pollen season on the hood of a truck right there. Talks about removing pollen on there. Other parts, it got rust stains. And on this one, I think I even did a video on my blog. So what happens on a blog, a couple of cool things on there is that Google will actually go and you can set on your page for Google to crawl your blog more often than the rest of your page or any of the search engines. And you're not having to redesign your whole website. You're not having to update your whole website. All you're doing is just posting a couple of times a month to your blog itself. And now Google is, you set the search frequency of your blog more often than the regular part of your website. And suddenly Google now is going, wow, this website's getting updated. It's getting updated. So they show that there's interest in there. And so this is what I'm showing y'all is actually pictures from my blog. This was March 17. On Blogger, you can actually go in there and I would do this at times, like whenever I was, bored or didn't have as much to do, I would go and do like 5 or 6 blogs at one time because you could go and post about you could go and schedule the post to come out. Like you can say, I want this done on March 1. I want this one done on March 15. Like if you had a little spare time, you could bust out 5 or 6 different blog posts and do it. So, here's one. So here's a blog post and it talks about the Panama City pressure washing 155-foot building. And I embedded a YouTube link into it. And I'm sorry for the horrible music. Let me turn the music off, but it goes and does it does the video that I did of washing this 150-foot high building over in Panama City. And the great keywords in there. I talk about metal roofs. I talk about TPO roofs. I talk about kitchen grease, concrete curbs. I mean, all those little kind of, I don't want to say keyword stuffing, but keyword stuffing, so that's the thing that Google's crawling and they see updated content on there. Here's one where we cleaned up pigeon poo and we have the video on that. So,
and the thing about it is too, is if you notice, I mean, as he's talking, I mean, you're thinking to yourself too, I mean, why would I ever worry about pigeon poop? And any job that you go on, especially if it's a specialty thing or if it's something different, right? It's a good thing to do a blog on. And the reason that it is very simply this. If I'm going to do, if all of a sudden I'm looking around and I got a bunch of pigeon poop or bird poop or whatever, I do a search, bird poop, Tallahassee, whatever, the good chance that blog is going to come up and make me money.
Wild West hey, John Sacco, thank you for tuning in. Wild West just made this comment. Use your past, reuse your old content for that. I kid you not, on here, I'm going to click on this thing right here on August 10th, slip and slide, and save the slip and slide for your yard, not your patio. We can make your brick pavers look new again. I did this house 12 years ago. It was one of the first patios I ever did. And I love the picture. I just put it out there last year on my blog post, one more time again. You're right. You can redo these things,
If you get a rain day, hey, sit down and write 30 different blog posts.
Exactly.
Just like he's saying, even if you don't have the software that uploads it for you, you create a folder on your desktop and you just, whenever you got once a month, twice a month, pull over and stick it in there and you're good to go.
So, but essentially this blog, not only does the blog have incredible reach, but this blog is essentially updating my web, even more so than the reach of this blog. This blog tells Google that I'm updating my website without actually updating my website. And it's one of the reasons my website, It's one of the reasons my website has ranked just consistently, so high in Tallahassee.
And it's not only that, but also this is your SEO. That blog is your SEO. What is SEO? It's search engine optimization. It's making it to where the crawlers, Google crawls around, and it grabs those keywords, and that's what's optimizing the site for when people are searching and helping people to find exactly what it is that you're looking for. So the more content that you have, but if you have your front page has way too much information, people don't want to necessarily sit there and read it all. They can, and Google's going to crawl it, but your blog is a way to help you deal with all that.
Rich and Maria said this: should we do coupon type of promo emails, or is that going down a bad road? I have absolute dominance in one neighborhood here in Tallahassee, and it's a large neighborhood. And part of the reason I do is because I did a coupon for that neighborhood, because I know the homeowners association requires you to have your sidewalks cleaned in that neighborhood. And we're talking 50, maybe 80 foot of sidewalk, and it's free sidewalk cleaning with every home/driveway purchase or house roof purchase or home, and whatever we want to do, that particular month. And we advertise in their newsletter, and we have sent, emails out to their neighborhood with that on there. So is it really free?
I'll tell you what, and you're not being the cheap guy. You're not being whatever. It is about keeping those customers coming back, and coupons. I don't have a problem with coupons at all. And if it's a repeat customer, so like with us, the way we did our warranty program, with an annual roof treatment program, that allows us to go back to that customer every single year. And it also helps me with them and their house wash side, because I can say, well, your roof was this cost, to begin with, is this cost here, where your house is this cost the first year and it's this cost the second year, because there's so much that goes into doing that house wash thing where the roof's a little bit different, so I don't necessarily have to break down and give a great discount on that, but I'm giving them that roof at that greater discount, which helps me with that, helps that customer retention, because they want to keep that warranty thing. And then using those lower prices to help me keep them can be a good thing, especially if we've got a client that we go back and we do, I'm going to say this one's actually almost 3,900 bucks, 3,800 and something and some change to do their house, and do it twice a year, right? And you don't have to offer a discount on that. You just don't. You can, but you don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So did you explain the roof cleaning warranty thing how it works?
Again,
you just said that.
Yeah. So the way it works for us, and it's extremely effective. We charge 25% of the original invoice amount to go back the second year. It's something that you have to keep up with every single year, or your price goes back up again. One of the biggest things that we get is, when we make the follow-up call, right? Every year we give them that follow-up call. Hey, Mr. Burke, just giving you a follow-up call to remind you that we'll be out to clean your roof again, next month, and whatever day. Your cost is $225 or $180 or whatever it is. Look, the point in this is that when you go out the first time to clean, let me back up to that point. A lot of times what people may say to us is, well, my roof looks great. I don't think I need it. My roof looks great. Okay, perfect. Just so you know, let me explain the life cycle of the algae. And then I'll go in and I'll say it was black the last time, and that's why it costs so much. And this is why it costs so little this time, is because it's not there. You don't see it, right? By the time we leave, you're not even going to know that we've been there for the most part, right? It's about maintaining the roof at this point, not having to use the harsh chemicals, going back and killing everything again. So the living algae is now exposed, and we can just put a 1% house wash mix on, right? I don't explain to them though that it's a 1%, but for me and my guys, It's my job now to sell them on a house wash. And now I'm adding that roof cleaning in, maybe adding 5 or 10 minutes to my job. Really, I'm exaggerating. Maybe it adds 15, 20 minutes to the job. But as you're washing the house, you're just spraying it up on the roof at the same time. So again, it's just 25% of the original invoice amount. That's how I do it. Every year has to be there. I'll allow it to go 18 months. After that, you have to have it redone again. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So you're hitting it with a lighter sauce too. Yes, that's exactly it. When you go out there the very first time, it is black, and you've got to hit it with your 3-4% mix, right? Depends on what you're doing. You know, I know some guys 5% mix, but when you go, so what you're doing is you're cleaning that dead algae, the black stuff off, getting to that living stuff underneath, right? So when you go back, it's a very simple house wash mix. You'll be surprised. Throw a house wash mix up there, rinse it off. You'll see it come off. You'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you can absolutely 100% clean a clean roof, a relatively clean roof on a nice warm day with a house wash mix.
Yeah, and not only that, but just keep in mind which angle. So you know, the north and the west are always the worst, and so we might bump up our solution to 1.5 or 2% on that side of the roof. You know, and if that's what it needs.
Absolutely.
Hey, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna be right back.
No, go right ahead. Bathroom's calling.
No, not that.
It's how getting old, your prostate shrinks and bladder gets smaller. And yeah. All right. So somebody, Flying J, said, I work for Roofing Supply. What happens when you come across Atlas shingles that use starch guard that can void their warranty? You know what? I've never had anybody tell me anything about Atlas shingles with a starch guard. I guess we're lucky in this area. I either have Tamco or GAF, or you know, are my two main ones that I have in this area. And we always do ask them if we know what kind of that. I'll have to look up the Atlas shingle. That's
all right. So let me address that on my end. Okay. So one of the things that I've had happen, so we get a client, let's say Ray Burke is my client, and we go out and we clean Ray's roof. Later on, Ray moves. He moves into a brand new house, and he calls me up and he says, hey, Doug, I want to go ahead and get in on the annual warranty program on my brand new roof, okay? Because I don't have anything now and I don't ever want anything on there. So I want to go ahead and get in on that annual warranty program. My answer is always the same thing, and that's no, okay? Not because I don't want, you know, I got to clean the roof. That's not it. I don't want that problem that you're talking about with the Scotch Guard on the roof, and we're taking the Scotch Guard off of the roof or anything to that nature. So now when I back up, I look at it this way. If it is a roof that is already turned black and it's got the Scotch Guard or the algae resistant shingles or whatever, okay, what do most of these shingle manufacturers recommend to clean the roof off? Okay, it's obvious that the Scotch Guard or the algae resistance isn't working. Okay, it already isn't working. So how do you avoid a warranty on something that already doesn't work? And that's what I approach the homeowner with, to go back to the shingle manufacturers. We deal with Atlas as well, and you know, if their product isn't working, they hire us to fix it. So. That's where I'm at.
Absolutely. And, you know, one of the things too, Doug, that I want to get, I want to go back to. So how long does a roof wash last when you do a 4 to 5% mix? It really depends. And I'd say your mix is probably a little high. We're cleaning most of ours at about a 3.5 to a 4, depending on the roof. Rarely do we ever bump up past a 4 unless we're doing a concrete, you know, tile. Light coats, light coats, multiple light coats. Save your bleach, save the heavy bleach. Don't have that stuff running off. But, you know, I typically find in my area that it's going to be 3 to 4 years before they start seeing visible signs of it. But I've also had, I mean, when I first started, you know, you and I were both part of a network that said, oh, give a 4-year warranty, 5-year spot-free warranty.
Lost my butt on that.
Back, you know, in the first year, going, I've got spots. And it's like, well, yeah, it's under an oak tree, but yeah, there's spots. And I washed several roofs for free on this, and
5 years spot free,
not knowing any better.
Yeah. And I was using the proper stuff for this network and all that kind of stuff too. So yeah, I wasn't happy with that either. But look, let me address that as well. And Ray, you said what, 3 to 5 years?
Yeah.
So I always tell the customers, you're looking at the black streak starting to come back between year 2 and year 7. Your choice on how you want to play with that, if you want to gamble with it, whatever the case may be. But there is no definitive answer here, right? If we wash a roof that is really, really black, I mean, it's thicker than this poker chip, right? I mean, it's thick. So we can clean that off. That roof is going to come back faster than a roof that wasn't that bad that we cleaned, right? And I've noticed now, I'm very much so a rinser, rinse every single job, that kind of a thing. But we also don't have much on the lines of rain gutters. And I'll tell you, the ones that we've had to leave, and maybe they had rain gutters or we didn't rinse, those do tend to last longer because the solution sits longer. So it does tend to last a little bit longer with the salts and all that are left up there. But for the most part, 2 to 7 years is the comeback time in my area.
So Wild West asked a little while ago, and I'm just circling back around. Let me do my best, Jen Psaki. Let's circle back around to talking about backlinking SEO. So let me share my screen again over here. Share screen.
I was going to try to spin around, and it was a failure.
So, and one of the things that talking about backlinking, I can backlink one to like my own website. Also, something else I did, so like sanitizing, and this is from March. One of the things that I did in here, so we're talking about, sanitizing, and we opened up sanitizetallahassee.com as a subsidiary of Spray Wash. Now, one of the things that I did here is, so I put links in there. One, going back to, my site. I did links back to the CDC about disinfecting. I mean, that's a pretty darn hardcore backlink right there, whatever you have, the CDC, as one of your backlinks. I did EPA. Oh, that one's gone now. That's actually a bad thing that it's not showing up anymore. I did OSHA guidelines regarding COVID prevention and control, in the workspace, because in that blog post, I believe I was talking about how, we're socially distancing our crews. And I even put in there our social distancing policy at Spray Wash that I had, because this is this is last March, whenever this is really on the top of everybody's minds. I mean, you had the TOMA, the top of mind awareness on that. So I'm putting in links in my blog, backlinks to these very important places. I mean, so here's a backlink to my Sanitize Tallahassee, website on there. But it's pretty powerful whenever you backlink to a government thing. Backlinking to, say, that RC, if you talk about shingles, and backlinking to that RCIA document that's out there. Really important thing to do, And
it's also really important if you can get backlinks from other places to you. That's a super good thing to do. If you can get them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say, for example, your realtors. If you have a realtor that you do a lot of business with, ask them for backlinks from them to
their page. Yeah. And if that's a Coldwell Banker, agent, and all of a sudden from their page, it gets onto the Coldwell Banker, national page. I mean, this is why they call it the web. It's all interconnected on there, and it's giving you credibility based on a Coldwell Banker page. It's kind of nice.
Exactly. All right. So back to quick reminder, tomorrow night, Sid Graff with the Huge Convention and I will go and do a live tomorrow night starting at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Huge Convention, what we got coming up at the Huge Convention, the classes that we will be doing as Spray Wash Academy. Ray and I will also be doing breakout classes. My breakout class will be on Can we circle back to
that? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all of a sudden drawing a blank on what it is that I'm. Yeah. Basically, how do you get off the truck, right? So I'm going to do a breakout class on, that 1 to 2 truck thing that we all seem to get to. You're at 1 truck, you want to know how to get to 2 trucks. Then you're at 2 trucks, and you seem to be stuck in a rut, and you can't get past that
Right.
1 to 2 truck rut kind of a thing. So how do you get past that? How do you get beyond that? How do you know when it's time to get off the truck? Those kinds of things. So that'll be one of the breakout classes that I'll be doing there. It's kind of a precursor to, I think, something Ray and I are going to be putting together for Spray Wash Academy and the classes website. So again, if you haven't already signed up for the huge convention, hugeconvention.com. You can also sign up. Plantandpropertyprotection.com will have where you sign up for our class at the Plant and Property class, but not the huge convention. And then also you can sign up for the basic class. And if you're a pro member, you need to get in, and we'll hit you got the link there for the job.
We ought to do the mapping feature one night, because Rich and Marie are talking about, you get a backlink, automatically, and mapping, and your website, and good stuff. I actually had somebody call me out of Chicago the other day who got the horse barns that I did 2 years ago, and told the manager about that traveling horse show. And he's like, "Hey, Ray, thank you very much. I just want to let you know I got the horse stalls, for the out in here. It's called the Red Hills Horse Trials, but this guy has like 400 paddocks that he travels around the nation to horse shows, and he washes them like every other stop, and got a hold of one of our pro members, and they got the job. And this is not a small job. It's a 3-day intensive, and the money is commensurate with that type of length on there too. So
that's the same thing with that bounce house thing.
Same thing with the bounce house. Yep, they have all of our pro. I've had another pro tell me they had that, and we ought to go over the thing. Also, so if you want to sign up as well, just remember, go to plantandpropertyprotection.com to sign up for Plant and Property for the huge convention. You can also sign up there for the basics, and hopefully at some point I'll have a little time to work on some websites. Sorry, but if you get the Plant and Property, if you sign up for the huge convention, you also get the online version of it. And as Doug and I were talking tonight before I came on the air, I just put on like an additional 15 minutes of content on the Plant and Property site. One was about wrapping a Japanese maple. The second was about properly watering plants. Excuse me. And, watering them from all the different angles. And I'm actually up on a ladder showing you, how runoff is going to hit, this Japanese maple. So we're going to also water that plant from the top as well as from the sides. And then we talk about wrapping a Japanese maple, and it's a lot of information. So it's the class that literally is never going to end. We're going to keep updating this class as long as we do, that class on there.
Which also is to let you guys know, if you've already taken the Plant and Property class online, that you should go back and look at it, because we've already I added some new content, I think last week or the week before. Ray's now added some new content, and we will continually add new content to those classes. Because we are in an ever-changing industry. There are new things coming out. There are new ways of doing things. There are, right now there's the new push for that new product. That's the what is it? Not the bleach, but the other base, right? So people are starting to get interested in that. Yeah, I agree. But
sorry, it's Parkinson's disease.
Yeah. Well, even Nick Weisenberger is trying out that new stuff. So there are things that, as we learn them, we'll bring them to you. And my table's moving a lot.
Nathan asks, is the online pretty much the same as y'all go over in the live class? You know, every time we do the live class, it's different because there's a lot of stuff we don't wind up getting into because we go down rabbit holes. I mean, yes, it's the basic stuff, but you know, the important parts are there, but we're able to delve into it even deeper in the online, and we're able to get more into it into the online. I mean, it's what, 4 or 5 hours long on the online, and we're still adding stuff.
No, I think it's longer than that.
Is it?
Because I don't know. I don't remember. I mean, our live presentations are typically about 4 hours.
Yeah.
And we don't cover anywhere near as much as we cover on the online thing because there's no distractions, number one. We're not answering questions, number two. You know, I guess the 1 and 2 are the same. But so there is a lot more information, even if it is within the same time frame, which I think it's longer than that, Ray, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I'd have to get in there and look at it again. So Flying Jay's asked something about a zinc additive to make your roof wash, make it last longer. Not that I know of, and it seems like it would just wash off. I know that the zinc strips have been an abysmal failure, and then the zinc little granules that they went and popped in there, those were an abysmal failure as well because they tended to coat over and not, you know, actually keep preventing, you know, after a while. So
the ones that seem to be working the best right now are they're the copper infused, or they're ceramic coated copper, and then the ceramic, I guess, is wearing off a little bit as time goes by, and so they're offering, I think it's 3, 5, 7 and lifetime warranties on algae resistant shingles. That's the AR that you see on the shingle is the algae resistant shingle.
Right.
And yeah, that's typically now, I think most of them are copper or ceramic coated copper granules that they're placing on the shingles as well to allow that copper to kill the algae. They're being pretty
effective. Cool. Well, Doug, what else you got? We're going to do it not a super extended version tonight because I'm tired, and this was literally my lunch today, which I ate just before we went on. Well, these 2 were my lunch. These 4 were my dinner. Crackers, yeah.
I want to talk briefly though about how you treat your customers, because this show is really about retaining the customers, how to get them to call you back and that kind of thing. And, you know, how you treat your customers is another way that keeps them calling you and coming back to you. Okay. And I'm going to use a story real quick where, I mean, I said something today. I'm not proud I said it to the rep on the phone, but I said it. And it's a company I've been having problems with. Unfortunately, it was a mortgage company. We paid a mortgage off on our house, so we had to, you know, I was just trying to get our paperwork from them. I've been fighting that for a long time. My point is that during this conversation with him, I said, you know, look, I mean, I don't want to get screwed, and I don't want anybody to come in my mouth. And I'm going to tell you right now, every time I get done talking to y'all, my butt hurts and I got a bad taste in my mouth. So my point in this is that how you treat your customers, and do you follow up? Do you do what you say you're going to do? So this company's been telling me for 6 months they're going to do something, and they haven't done it, to the point now where I'm so frustrated with them. Okay. Yeah. And this is different in your job, your company. It's not going to take as much as it took to get to this point for me. Right. Because if they don't like what you're doing, or they don't like what you're saying, and, you know, recently in the I think it was in the academy, we were talking about something. I don't remember what it was, so I apologize. But one of the guys responded and said, if the customer doesn't like him, tell him to F off. Okay, that's just insanely stupid, right? Yeah. So how you treat your customers and how you act around them and how you react around them. I mean, look, I'm not picking on somebody that smokes, but if you smoke, right, don't go up and talk to them smoking. Yeah. Don't try to keep that either at your truck or at their property line. Look, it's not about you and, well, screw them if they don't like it, right? Right. Okay, great. All you're doing is limiting yourself. This is about growing your business and keeping those customers wanting to come back. And they might say, you know what, that Ray Burke did an awesome job on my house. I'm really happy, but when he left, I found a cigarette butt.
Yeah.
And I just don't like that. Okay. It wasn't even your cigarette butt. It was somebody threw it out the window,
but they saw you smoking and Doug, I don't know. Obviously success is, we all judge.
You measure your own.
You measure your own success. Now, you and I have been fortunate, blessed, and not just given. We've worked our asses off for wildly successful companies. Companies, at the 7-figure range or approaching a 7-figure range, and to us, I think that kind of went in there to, okay, there's a success level that we wanted to be at. I don't know of anybody that is over that $500,000, $600,000 arc going up to the producers that I know of the, I know $10 million producers. I know $20 million producers. I don't know anybody in that arc of about over $500,000 a year or more that has the attitude of fuck them. Seriously. Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't say that they don't have that attitude about their customers.
I want to throw this one out there just because Derek Moody and I went to Cabela's on Father's Day because I had picked up a proportioner for him up in Pennsylvania, brought it back to him. And we went and we looked at a semi-automatic shotgun, and it was cool. I think I'm going back, Derek. I'm just saying. So the customer is not always right. This is true, but we still need to be professional when dealing with a problem or dealing with them at all. Even Absolutely. Though they're wrong, probably 90% of the time, you still don't throw it in their face and tell them that they're wrong. You just, if you want to grow business and you want to keep them coming back, you even make them feel good about being wrong. And sometimes it's joking with them to let them know that they're wrong, but it is what it is. So
there's an old saying that tact is the ability to tell somebody to go to hell and phrase it in a way to where they look forward to the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacob, I approach customers with a bucket of fried chicken. It's tough because I don't like to share, but it seems to make them happy. Anything you can do to make them happy. And it is what it is. I think that they're probably not happy with Jacob at all, to be honest with you, because when he shows up with his bucket of fried chicken, it's nothing but bones left inside.
Would you be happy if Jacob showed up to your house? I mean, unless you were wanting amazingly clean windows, then I'd be happy.
Yeah. Good thing we like that guy. That's what we did. This was a paid endorsement.
Rich and Maria smoke on the trailer or out of the side of the customer. Yep. No personal job site. No emergency calls go through the office and get forwarded to the cruise company phone.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to do it. And in today's day and age, I think it's important. And look, that's about customer retention as well, I think, because if you guys are spending all your time on the phone, you guys are out there doing this, that your customers see that and they'll say, yeah, man, they just spent all their time on the phone. They're going to want somebody who wants to get the job done for them, especially with what we're charging nowadays and what you should be charging nowadays.
Absolutely. So there's Jacob's secret to windows. The chicken grease makes a window shiny.
That's it. Makes them shine.
But and like I said, to start on what we started on tonight, and Doug's gone off on it some, and let me say, another word on it. Treat your customers like gold. If you don't, someone else will. And second off, it is so much cheaper to keep an old customer than it is to go out and get a new customer. The old customers love you. I've said this story many, many times, but I like to repeat myself. I haven't said it tonight, but it was always just a personal slap in my face. Like I knew that I failed whenever someone would call my office and say, I'm looking for the nice man that cleaned our house. They had a blue logo and and my house is, you know, at such and such. And I'm like, hi, Ms. Johnson, this is Ray. I was the one that cleaned your house, you know, 3 years ago. Oh my God, you did such a great job. And I couldn't remember your name and I just want to just punch myself upside the head repeatedly because I failed. I failed miserably about contact. You know, somehow that email did not make it onto my list. It did not make it onto my mailing list on there, or it was before I was doing that, and I failed. I failed horribly at retaining that customer.
Wild West is saying, how about having a dedicated crew for rapid response cleaning with a premium price? Absolutely. I agree with that.
I mean, you know, you can. I mean, and all, you know, we have the emergency call out crew, and it's employee number 7. It usually, typically, always the emergency call outs always was me, always me, because we stayed booked up so much. And if we had an emergency come in, I kind of had to work it into my work, you know, to do that. But, you know, if you're talking about just a crew, not an emergency call out crew, but a dedicated crew for rapid response, let's say we can get you booked in here in a week instead of a month. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting idea. I've not really thought of that, but
I actually had thought about it. But one of the things that we did was I didn't book Fridays at all.
Yeah, no, we didn't. We don't either. I mean, that's our day
off. I did
not
book any Fridays, but we worked every single Friday. And part of the reason being is because you get people that just say, hey, I really need to get this done by such and such a day. Well, we're booked out that 2 months or whatever it is. But we do have these openings that we do. And you can even charge extra for that. But also our main reason for it too, it started out because I didn't want a rain day to happen. And then, you know, I got to tell you, well, you know, you got to wait, you know, another 7 years.
But we worked through it, plowed through it.
There you go.
All right, yeah, you ready to get off of here, Bubba?
I am ready, boss.
I'm ready for dinner. So Tanya has Chinese takey outy waiting for me at home.
Tomorrow night, 7:30. Remember, Sid Graff and myself, we'll talk a little bit about the huge convention. And peace, y'all.
Wash on, guys.
Wash on.